Before deciding if a certain approach is best, let's look at the scientific evidence. I think that's best. Let's take a look at the research now in support of HAES. There have been 6 randomized controlled trials to compare the non-diet approaches to a control group, and none of the studies have found any negative outcomes with the non-diet approach. No negative outcomes. In some of the trials, the non-diet groups experienced improvements in health behaviors, physiologic measures, and psychological improvements compared to other groups. More research is needed, of course, to confirm outcomes, but evidence certainly exists to support the non-diet approaches for improving health, and that's really a positive thing. Now, one of the 6 randomized controlled trials mentioned in the previous slide provided significant insight into both the psychological and the physiologic effects of the non-diet approach. In this research, which was led by Dr. Linda Bacon at UC Davis, it involved randomly assigning obese female chronic dieters ages 30 to 45 to a HAES intervention or a traditional diet group intervention. This intervention was 6 months in length, and the data was collected immediately after the intervention and at a 2-year follow-up. So here we can see the intervention. The diet groups learned how to keep food records, they read food labels, and they were taught an exchange system. This was for making modest decreases in calorie and dietary fat. They were also encouraged to walk, and the benefits of exercise were discussed. The non-diet group learned about body acceptance. They learned how to tune into hunger and fullness cues. They learned to eat for well-being instead of weight loss and to choose activities that were enjoyable. All right, let's have a look at the results. So the participants were tested before the 6-month intervention, after the 6-month intervention, and again 2 years later. Participants in the diet group experienced weight loss, improvements in labs, and improvements in different psychological tests, but all of these changes returned to the baseline at the 2-year follow-up. In addition, 41% of the participants didn't even complete the 6-month intervention. Meanwhile, participants in the non-diet intervention, they had significant improvements in depression, body image, and self-esteem, and this was maintained at the 2-year follow-up. They also witnessed improved total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and systolic blood pressure at 2-year follow-up. All of these positive results occurred despite the fact that there were no significant changes in body weight. Plus, the non-diet group experienced an 8% dropout rate, much better participation than the 41% dropout rate of the diet group. So what surprises you about this study? And what can we take away from this study? Some takeaways are participants may prefer a non-diet intervention over a diet-based intervention. It's not necessary to lose weight to reap the physiologic benefits of dietary and exercise changes, as we can see. These people are healthy. Their labs are healthy. Focusing on body image and nutrition and exercise behaviors instead of weight and restriction-based eating may make us feel better about ourselves and less depressed. While we do have some foundational research to support the health at every size approach, more research is needed to solidify the findings and investigate other benefits of this non-diet approach. I just wanted to point out that Linda Bacon also wrote the book called Health at Every Size, The Surprising Truth About Your Weight, which is fantastic. Highly recommend that. So finally, let's talk about some of the common misconceptions about health at every size. There are some common misconceptions about health at every size that we really need to clear up as we wrap things up here with this presentation today. Let's look at some of the myths about HAES and separate out the fact from fiction. Okay, myth number 1. The health at every size message is that everyone is healthy regardless of weight. This isn't the HAES message. Not everyone may be at the weight that is right for their body. However, attempting to simply lose weight isn't the answer. Really, the HAES paradigm is about providing individuals with information so they can choose to make positive health and exercise choices regardless of size. It's more about making these good, healthy choices that work for them. This is a really important one. Another myth about HAES is that HAES advocates believe that people should just eat whatever they want and not be concerned with nutrition and activity. That simply isn't true. There's no denying that eating and exercise habits are important components of health. HAES advocates support the idea that weight is less important as a component of health than fitness and nutrition. Furthermore, the HAES paradigm supports eating based on internal cues such as hunger, fullness, and cravings. When you listen to what your body wants, you'll notice that your body craves more of a balanced diet and activity. Plus, when we listen to our bodies, it might mean really, really listen to our bodies, we find that there are certain foods and activities that make it feel good, and we may notice what makes it not feel good. And when we're adding in exercise that feels great, we might eat less of the foods that make us feel not good. Moving from a life of dieting to a life of non-dieting and eating in response to the body cues is a journey. It takes time. After dieting for years, it can be very difficult to notice and trust those cues. It's a process. Dietary variety is encouraged in non-diet approaches as both a strategy to obtain many different nutrients and to experience joy in eating. Let's bring the joy back to eating, the joy and the pleasure of it. This whole listening to what you're craving idea can be really hard to swallow for some people. You might be wondering if you actually did that, if you'd end up eating more than you'd like to of certain foods, like junk food. And really, at first, this might happen, but as you learn to trust your cravings and you learn to eat without guilt and shame, many find that they don't crave the junk food all the time like they thought they would. You've got to just try this out for yourselves. Research supports the fact that it's feeling that a food is bad and that we shouldn't eat it that makes us want to eat it. So no more labeling these foods. Once you take the mind game out of the picture, you might find that your body actually craves a variety of foods, including both foods for your body and what we might call play foods. And have you had any experience yourself with this extreme longing for a certain type of food because you were on a restrictive diet? Just think about that too. And as we said earlier, you can't tell how healthy someone is by looking at them. You might think that you know, but you really don't know. Let's look at these two individuals here. If we were to see them on the street, we might make certain assumptions about their health based on either what we see them doing or their shape or their size. But how do we know from looking at someone how healthy they are? No. Mm-mm. The Health at Every Size philosophy is about celebrating size diversity. It's about recognizing all the components of health, not just nutrition and exercise, that make someone healthy, taking the focus off of weight and listening to our bodies as the best guide in eating and activity. Think about someone that you see who looks like maybe they've lost quite a bit of weight. Why have they lost that weight? Maybe they've been very ill or have a long-term illness and they're actually feeling very sick. And maybe someone who's in a larger body is out running every day and eating really well, and their labs show that their cholesterol and everything is in a healthy range. Think about that too. And we can say to people, you look vibrant and healthy and alive, not, oh, did you lose weight? You look great. That's also part of this whole conversation is not telling someone that, not saying, "Oh, did you lose weight? You look great." Let's stay away from that and try to find other descriptors for how the person is looking. It's very positive and uplifting. Try it. So we've come to the end of the presentation, and I wanted to just provide some HAES resources here. You can check these out on the web. In addition, here are some more resources. The Health at Every Size book that I recommended, Intuitive Eating by Evelyn Tribole, and more. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, I will be offering more of an in-depth overview and sort of a self-directed course that I'm providing, and also one-on-one counseling and group programs related to health at every size and intuitive eating. So if you're interested in those, you can sign up for those programs at amyreich.com. That's AMYREICH.com. Thanks so much, everyone. And before I go, let's acknowledge this Health at Every Size curriculum team. And I always want to have references, so check out these references if you're interested in more information.